Welcome to the third and final round of today's event. And thank you, our esteemed participants, for your patience. Despite exceeding our initial closing time, you're still also well seated. For those of you who joined in this final round, once again, my name is Lawrenta Igoh. I am a student of Solent University, Southampton, and a Chevening Scholar, convening this event alongside other Chevening scholars and professionals from the UK and the US, reflecting on the UN team committed to the cause, working on the front line to end human trafficking. It's been such an amazing long day, highly informative and interactive. But before we go on to this round, I just want to quickly acknowledge and appreciate our esteemed professors from two reputable institutions, Solent University, Southampton, and the UK, and Bridgewater State University, Massachusetts. Every one of you joined this webinar, and it means a lot to us because you got our invite and notification in less than 48 hours. Thank you for your solidarity and support. And I also want to convey the message from Dr. Simon Forks, Dr. Wendy Hines, and Dr. Daniel Reed, who could not be with us to the end because of other important schedule. Meanwhile, thank you very much for your presence. It means a lot, and I hope that everyone enjoyed the final and last session of this event. Over to you, our esteemed moderator, Waiza Rafiq. Thank you for your wonderful moderation.
With this, I would want to take the session forward with voices from the academia. We have some very good speakers with us from who represent the academic community from US and UK. I would request each one of them to please take 2 minutes because we're already running short of time. First of all, I would want to request Dr. Simon Fox, who's the head of criminology, School of Business, Law and Communications, to share his perspective on anti-human trafficking.
So Dr. Simon Forks, the head of criminology, School of Business, Law and Communications of Solent University, Southampton, thank you for joining. I think he has other engagements and he sends his greetings to everyone. And thank you very much for being part of the session as well.
Great. So, all right. So, but with this, I would move on to Dr. Wing Kai, who's the Assistant Provost for Global Engagement and Senior International Officer, BSU, Massachusetts. Dr. Wing Kai.
Hi, can you folks hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this. After hearing about more than 2 hours, one of the advantages of the last group of speakers is that you don't have to say anymore. Most of the things have been addressed by all the other speakers. But on the other hand, it's also a privilege and honor to learn so much from each of you and then try to talk about my own perspectives as well. As one of the faculty members representing a university in the United States, along with my colleagues here, we are really in the business of supporting human capital and education for our students to learn about the world and to deal with human issues. So I have had the privilege and honor of hosting the Mandela Washington Fellowship at Bridgewater State University near Boston over the last 4 years, along with my colleague, Dr. Wendy Haynes, by the way, who will not be speaking after me because she just had another engagement. So Bridgewater State is one of the institutions in Massachusetts that has a criminal justice department and social work department and public administration department that focus a lot of these issues about transnational crime, human trafficking, and concern about global issues in general. I'm the head of the Global Engagement Institute, which means that I oversee international affairs at my university. So the United States is in a position of being very global, but also very parochial at the same time. Being an American, one day you think that you're really the pride of the world. The other times you think that you're really the worst offender of the world, especially currently. So I think I'm being very honest here, because of a lot of times the United States has not been supportive of the United Nations in the current administration. And sometimes we have enacted policies that really go against some of the efforts by all the NGOs, governments, and also institutions and workers and students in terms of solving the issues of human trafficking. So I'm a historian myself. My work is concerned with international migration and immigration. I've always been a supporter of a humane policy towards human trafficking and also about human migration. So all the things that UN has done over the last 20 years regarding, the issues of facing human trafficking, relating to sexual exploitation, forced labor, forced marriage, removal of organs, trafficking of children to serve as, helping the criminals to beg for money, armed conflicts, all these things that contributed to human trafficking. We are all very concerned about that, as educators, as people who are thinking about humanitarianism and human rights in the world. So what can universities do? Universities should work with NGOs and also teach educated students about, national policy and international policy. We should network with local organizations like the wonderful work that Marilee and Frank are doing from the religious organizations, or some of the advocacy organizations like the Massachusetts Coalition for Immigrants and Refugee Coalition. Well, we should work with our social work department and criminal justice department and other departments to educate the students and not look at everything from the border control perspective, but look at it from a multifaceted perspective. So when we think about all the ways to stopping people from coming, or punishing people, it's not going to solve all the problems. So people are talking about abolishing ICE, or talking about how the Department of Homeland Security has become much more, inhumane towards our asylum seekers or refugees, or how much we are not doing, in terms of solving the problem of human trafficking. So as an Asian American myself, I'm really supporting human dialogue and human solutions for these problems. So our law enforcement agencies are looking at justice issues right now. As you know, the United States is now the center of racial justice conversation. And I wanted to bring this in to be a part of this conversation as well, that we need to look at people from the other races, and especially in countries like in continents like Africa, Latin America, and also Asia. There were a lot of displaced peoples because of this discrimination and also crime that were committed against people of color and also vulnerable populations. I also think that we need to promote gender equality so that people would understand that the violence against women and girls is rooted in, the social and cultural systems of many countries. So I think we need to promote education, promote gender equality, promote a more humane way of law enforcement, and also cooperate with the world and understand that the isolationist policies of the United States and many countries in Europe are not going to solve the problems of human trafficking. So this is sorry, I've gone a little bit above 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was really helpful. I would now request Dr. Wendy Hines, who is a Special Assistant to the Vice President for Grants and Advancement Initiatives, BSU, Massachusetts. Dr. Wendy Hines.
She's not going to join. She just had another commitment. So she's my colleague. So we both from Bridgewater State University. So she sends her as well.
All right. Okay, no problem. So now I would request Dr. Daniel Reed, who's a barrister, a lecturer at School of Business, Law and Communications. Dr. Daniel Reed to share his perspective on anti-human trafficking. Dr. Daniel, are you with us? Dr. Daniel, can you hear me? I think he cannot hear.
Yes, I believe he's not online, Rafiq.
All right. So we'll move to our next academic, Dr. Mark Farwell, who's a BA Honors, PhD, FHEA, who's a senior lecturer, School of Business, Law and Communication. Dr. Mark.
Hello, thank you very much. I waited 2.5 hours, and just as we were about to get on, signal dropped out. I've had to come back in a hurry. So I was pleased to see that the former speaker went a little bit over time, so I managed to get in. So in 2 minutes, I'm Dr. Mark Farwell. I'm a senior lecturer at Chevening University in Southampton in the UK. And I'm a colleague of Dr. Simon Fox and of Dr. Daniel Reed. My Chevening student is Lawrenta, and I'm her research supervisor. And she has had an enormous impact on my research into national organised crime and also on human trafficking. And most of my research activities are associated with at university level, supervision of doctoral students and so on in this area. But I'm also a labour movement activist. I'm a trade unionist and a former parliamentary candidate for the UK Parliament in the last 2 general elections. And I'm also the regional secretary of UCU, which is the largest teaching union in Europe. So I'm an activist, been an activist in the labour market in the labour movement for the whole of my career. But at the university, and I wanted to focus a little bit on university because I could only stand in awe of all of the practitioners and including the scholars panel, by the way. I mean, the engagement and the involvement is unbelievable. But what I think is important about universities, and we have a vital role, in my view, to play in terms of how we combat the trafficking in persons. And I think the central role for universities should be to develop evidence-informed scholarship that not only shape interventions, but also policies. And to that end, I think we have to recognise that universities should be public and safe places for study, and that includes survivors from human trafficking. And I also think we need to recognise that trafficking of all kinds is a much more sophisticated process, and it becomes increasingly sophisticated. So research is required. So the scholars, not just at Solent, but at Oxford Brookes and at Huddersfield and elsewhere.
It's kind of big.
Sorry?
Please, Dr. Mark, go ahead. I think.
Oh, right, I'm sorry. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether I was cut off there. So I think it's absolutely crucial that we develop not only the kind of the interdisciplinary cross-curricular in universities, of course, but I think it's really important that we elevate universities to their rightful place in combating trafficking. And that does involve us, I think, breaking slightly free from some conventions that there are, not just in UK universities, but elsewhere. And the great 19th century scholar, this is John Stuart Mill, he once rather, I think this is a well-known adage, by the way, that he said, when there are no enemies in the field, students and tutors fall asleep at their posts. So I think complacency and sometimes compliance is the enemy of progress. So I have to say that most of my research until recently, in respect of human trafficking, has been associated with bringing an end to war. But Lawrenta has persuaded me that we need to be doing more work on not only aspects of human trafficking, but the experiences of victims, and her postgraduate research is focused in that area. But I think the biggest enemy of all is complacency, because I think, again, it was an academic in this country in the 1970s and the 80s, Peter Townsend. He was a great philosopher and writer in social policy. He said that the fundamental cause of nearly all problems in the modern world, or the world today, to use the exact terms, is actually complacency. So the rallying call, and I've heard it from the scholars today, and it really does fill me with confidence that there is a generation of academics that are going through UK universities and including in the US, which are future ready, I think is the modern term, to take on the world.
I want to wait till I 15.
Great.
I said I want to wait till I
More than 2 minutes, I apologise.
I'm sorry for that. I would request Mary to please mute your microphone, Mary.
Wow. Like, yeah, but it's, I'm not going to start buying something. But guess what? It's expensive. It's stuff that you expensive. Oh. Don't want to know. Huh? Don't want to.
Mary, can you please mute your... Right, Dr. Mark, I'm sorry for that. Oh, please continue.
That's no problem, thank you.
Okay, with this, we reached towards the end of our session. It was very informative, very, very interesting. I would want to thank all the panelists, all the speakers, everyone for joining us today. Now I would request my colleague, Lawrenta, to, I'm sorry, say some closing remarks on today's webinar before we formally close it. Thank you very much, everyone. Signing off from my side. Lawrenta, over to you.
Much, Rafik. Thank you so much, Rafik, for the wonderful moderation. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, esteemed anti-human trafficking leaders and academics. Thank you once again for joining. On behalf of all of the Chevening Scholars, we are Chevening Scholars, a scholarship under the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. So every year, out of the generosity of the UK government, people across the world get to benefit from the scholarship that enables them to access quality education in the UK and fully sponsored with enough benefits to go with and adequate networking and leadership opportunities as well. So I would like to thank the UK government for investing in us, that brought us to the platform of being Chevening Scholars. This year, over 1,750 of us from 150 countries across the world were awarded these scholarships and distributed, or we are distributed across 150 institutions in the UK. This is huge, this is massive, and we couldn't help but say thank you to all the Chevening panelists. It was really within a comparatively short time of 10 days that we decided we want to have this event. It was really, and that is why I cannot really express how overwhelmed I feel about the commitment of all of you to participate, and also the speakers. Some of them were given the notice of just 2 days. I'm really very touched at your ability to accept. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for accepting despite the short notice. Thank you, Andra Kinswell, as well. I know he's not here because they have other engagements. for being here. Thank you, Mr. Chris Gare. It was just a short time and we are able to get you to give us such an elaborate and insightful, educative presentation. Thank you so much. We deeply appreciate you. And to all our academias, from Solent University, from Bridgewater State University, Massachusetts. At the start of the conference, over 50 participants, over 60 people were here. Dr. Wendy and Dr. Win Kaito, thank you. Despite your tight schedule and busy life, you still were mindful of our students and to be part of this program, and you're patient enough to be here to the end. And also to my supervisor, Dr. Mark Farwell, thank you for your patience. I only was able to communicate this information to you today. It's amazing that you're here. Thank you for honoring the invitation, and other people, despite the short notice, you signed up to be part of this event because it is on a course that we are all championing that is very close and near to our heart. We are concerned about helping to free victims from human trafficking, to bring traffickers to justice, and to prevent all forms of human trafficking. So I cannot really express my gratitude highly enough to everyone, to my all of us together who have been part of this. Thank you, Marilee and Frank. Thank you, Frank. Even though you have been quiet and behind the scene, I can see you. Thank you for joining this webinar. And then the very important work you do with the South Shore Interfaith Coalition Against Human Trafficking, and supporting so many victims across the world in the United States to recover their lives, to recover healing, and especially bringing the value of faith, which is also an important aspect of people reorienting their value and understanding God in a very unique way, whatever they perceive Him to be. And that would help people to model their life and behave well and minimize abuse and exploitation of other people. So I really don't know how best to express my gratitude to Dr. Reed, to Dr. Simon, who was here and left along the way because of other engagements. Thank you also to Miss Lyor, and the UK, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office of the UK in Nigeria, and also the Commonwealth, the Chevening executive, who also gave us this opportunity to network, to engage and interact, and supported our events. Thank you so very much. At this juncture, I would like to say that the event is coming to an end. It was such an interesting, engaging, interactive session that I wish it was not going to end, because there's so much we have learned. We as students, we are most honored to have our teachers and tutors and supervisors and mentors to be part of this event, because we have shared in your wealth of knowledge and experience. Going forward, this would be like a mark. It would be remembered, and would always draw our lessons from there. So thank you so much for joining. To all our panelists from the Chevening Scholarship, thank you from Brazil, from Pakistan, from the UK, from the US, from Africa, across Africa. All of you, I see you, and we are so grateful on behalf of all of us that despite writing our dissertation within this time, the 5 panelists and Insan, the 6 of us were also thinking over the night just to see that this event come to place. And I also thank you for ignoring our lapses. I know it's not so perfect. Sometimes, especially with the Zoom, the visual world, the new normal, we are all still learning. This is like a learning curve for our students, and we just took up the challenge as Chevening Scholars to also to build on our leadership and networking skill through this forum. And I really wish that we can continue conversation, continue networking, continue engaging each other in the projects we do, because together, everyone achieves more. So thank you, and do have a very beautiful weekend. Stay safe, and let's just continue conversation behind the scene. For the many questions we couldn't respond to, you can please text it via email or text message. we'll try as much as we can to respond. And I'm so grateful also for the support system I get from Solent University, Southampton, for even during the lockdown, they have this incredible support for students, and they continue to interface and support whatever individual creativity that you bring up. That is really very unique in my education and learning. And then, yeah, I can't be more grateful to the Mandela Washington Fellows who are here also to show solidarity, and all of my team, mentors, and fellow Chevening Scholars. I know the list is endless. Thank you, Father Mark Obete, and thank you for my family, Father Johnson, and thank you everyone for your solidarity. I see you all, and God bless you.
You're welcome. All the best.
Thank you all. And I want to say a big hello to my friends in Brazil and to my colleagues from my agency in Brazil. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Very informative session. All the best. Peace. I'm out.
Thank you to the presenters, and thank you also to the hosts. God bless you all. Happy to meet you.
Thank you very much.
For your feedback. Thank you very much. Thank you, Silva. Thank you for joining. And on a personal note, I just want to really say thank you to you, one of our facilitators, Andrea Kingswell, who is also my mentor. Thank you for your solidarity and support during the process of planning this event. Thank you so very much for all you do to support me through this journey of becoming a Chevening Scholar, as well as Dr. Win Kaito. I deeply appreciate all of your participation, everyone. Thank you, and thank you.